do video. Okay. Can you tell me what your name is?
My name is Mahmoud, and my last name is Behzadurad. PhD student working in the CHTM, the Center for High Technology Material Devices, and working especially on nanofabrication devices. In my research, I'm working on the nanochips for ASM applications, which is for metrology.
Mm-hmm. Is that part of the nascent grant?
Yeah, that's a part of the NASEM project. The NASEM project is a shared project between UNM, UT Austin, and UC Berkeley. And in all centers, they are working on some nanofabrication devices, and there's a good collaborating between these three universities. And the final plan is to provide some cheaper way and cheaper techniques to make a nano device and nano patterns. It could be a part of the fabrications process or a part of the modeling and simulations, both together.
So if you had to project how your research would be utilized in the future, what would you imagine it would be used for?
A good dream for me if these projects could help some guys in the future to get a better understanding what's going on in the nano structure, especially when we are talking about the less than 10 nanometers, which is very tiny structures. And in that case, you may be able, for example, to make some devices like transistors, which the gate is less than 10 nanometers. You can make a revolutionary in the next generation of the computers and the all electrical devices. And maybe my project can help those guys to make sure if they got to a correct structure or still they need to work on that.
Mm-hmm. When did you first get interested in science?
Believe or not, when I was in the elementary schools, we had a lesson in the science course. That lesson was talking about some scientists working to understand how the worms are making the small hole in the earth. And that part, I was really interested to see what's going on in the nature, what's the reality of the nature. Is it something like just imagining about things in your mind, or is there some more important role and principles behind all facts in the world? So at that point, maybe that was the first spark in my mind. I started thinking about to work on science, and then I chose to study the physics and the bachelor science, and then I switched the optics in the master's, and then here at CHTM I started working on nanofabrications, which have applications in optical science and optical engineering, and that's right now I'm here.
So do you have a specific teacher maybe that piqued your interest in physics or optics?
Yeah, exactly. I have a teacher during high school. He was teaching us physics, and that was the first time thinking about the physics and mathematics. Most of physics, not mathematics. But yeah, I got many things from that teacher, and that was the beginning of thinking about the physics aspects, not the other major in the university.
Did you have an aptitude in mathematics?
You have to have it, because if you're thinking about physics or chemistry, there is no way to escape from mathematics. Mathematics is the mother of the science. In each science, you have to use the mathematics, suitable and appropriate to your measures. So I passed many courses in mathematics because I needed to know how can solve different equations especially for the optics and nanoscience, because you cannot use the same equations like you are learning for example, just let's say in the bachelor's as the general equations in the nanoscales, because when you get to small size, you have to consider the other effect on the other equations, and because there are other factors maybe are dominating in the smaller size, but when you go to the larger scales, the other parameters is going to be more important that the parameters you consider in the smaller size. So that's the reason you have to know enough about the mathematics to use the correct equations and to be available to solve this equation by considering the very accurate boundary conditions.
It seems like mathematics used to be done with slide rules or pencil and paper. Then they came out with graphing calculators, and now you can use computers. Do you still think it's important to have mathematics as a discipline?
Yes, because you can use computer to solve equations, but if you don't know how to solve it, the computer needs to have some, for example, the input values, and you have to consider the boundary conditions. If you don't know the equations, if you don't have the enough knowledge of the equations, how you can introduce that parameter for the computer? Computer is just a machine to solve the equations and can save your time, but that's you actually behind all this process. You have to control it, and that's you to let the computer to solve the equations based on your desired conditions, situations. You have to introduce the input values, you have to introduce the boundary conditions, you have to choose which equation you need to solve, and the computer can just solve it for you, maybe in just 1 minute.
Yeah. So right here, you're working on your doctorate, is that right?
Right.
What do you expect to do in the future? Do you imagine yourself going into the private sector and business, or to continue as a professor at the university level? Or
It's a good question, because if you ask this question any other PhD students, not only here, maybe other universities, they probably say you're not sure yet. But for me, I'm pretty sure that after this level, I will start my postdoc, because I like still working on the science. If you go to the industry, maybe it's the end of your science life, and you have just think about making money. So the two possibilities for me is to start working a postdoc and research professor, maybe if the faculty position is not available, because the faculty position is very competitive position in the US. I would like to be a faculty position, to get a faculty position in the future, but maybe I'm not very optimistic because of the very huge competition between the other students. We have too many graduate students from other universities, just very small number of available positions. So I prefer the postdoc for some years, and then maybe think about the industry.
so you love doing like peer research.
Yeah.
So you consider yourself like a lifelong learner. It's not like you get a certain degree and then
Yeah.
just get a job and then stop learning.
But still, the making money is important in the future. But yeah, I would like to have both together.
Are you working on any research papers right now?
Yeah. I had a projects before starting working on the AFM nanotubes. That project is done. We report, and actually we finished working on that project, and we submitted 2 papers for that. And right now we are thinking about a new paper based on some new result we got from the AFM.
Was your paper published in a journal?
We're still working on in the review process.
Okay. Because papers have to be peer reviewed, right?
Yeah, right. I actually have 3 or 4 papers already published during my Master of Science. But during the PhD, I had a papers published, and I have 2 papers under review, and I'm still working on another paper.
Do you have any suggestions for somebody who would go into science?
Never start science if you are not interested in that. But if you coming, you will fall in love. So my suggestion is, if you like science, there is no doubt. Just come and start enjoying your life.
Thank you.